Hi, this is Jeff Keamy, and today I want to expand on the idea of what we're looking for while we're walking an apartment property for the first time. And I want to focus specifically on student properties. So we're in front of my screen on my screen right now, I have a student property. We've already gone over this property in another video, but this happens to also be a student property. So I want to discuss some of the things that I'm thinking about when a student property is being evaluated versus just just kind of a normal apartment property. The one thing that I've noted and I've seen and we are 100% certain of is that student properties at this point in time generate significantly more traffic than the counterpart of just kind of a normal property, family oriented property. Students are online all the time, and they actually use the internet a lot different than the general population in that streaming is essential in their environment, and access to the internet almost at all hours, whether it's 4 in the morning or 8 in the morning, it doesn't really matter. They need to have access to the internet because students are very lively in their hourly schedules. They're all over the place, and that's why we just kind of look at it a little bit differently when we're walking it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is when I'm walking this, yes, we're going to do the general stuff. We're going to look for tree coverage, building construction, places for us to put outlets. But we're also going to look like how dense can we make this environment? How many access points can we squeeze in without creating a very noisy and too much of a noisy environment? That way the distribution's a little bit better. The load on a per access point is less. So that's going to be the one thing. We're going to grab an access point. We're going to fire it up. We're going to see how far it'll go. And we're going to overlap the access points just a little bit more than what we would do at a normal property. But we don't want to overlap too much because we don't want to interfere with our own signal. So that's what we really want to try and do, is trying to figure out how we can overlap. So in this particular building, maybe I install 3 or 4 access points in a normal property, but at this property, maybe it's 5 or 6 for this building, and we overlap them just a little tighter, and we would stagger the channels normally. But again, we don't want to interfere with ourselves, so we ensure that it's not too dense of an environment. So that's really the big difference of what I'm looking for in a student property. And we're also going to be looking at total bandwidth throughput on a student property. And how that's going to be utilized. So for a normal property, we might just have one main backhaul unit on the main building where all these other buildings are being fed from that backhaul. But for a property like this, I actually installed 3 main backhaul access points, each with a gigabit capable infrastructure, just to ensure that this particular property could handle the load for the time being and for future upgrades. As time goes on, student properties are going to be noticing that they need more and more bandwidth, and you don't want to do major construction to get that done. You want to have already prepped for that. So this particular network could easily handle, gigabit or 2 of total bandwidth. With very little modifications to the existing infrastructure. So those are the main things that I'm looking for, is how dense can I make the environment without interfering with my own signal, and 2, how am I going to power each one of these buildings? How am I going to split them up to different backhaul access points to distribute the load more evenly throughout the property? And that's it for assessing an apartment complex that's student specific, and it's on the first walkthrough. This is the first time we're walking it. Thanks.